Well, Melbourne is in shock after last night's vehicle attack in the CBD. Now, 24 hours on, we're learning more about how the horror unfolded.
Nearly a year after the Burke Street attack, Melbourne has once again been rocked by violence.
There was a small number of our members that attended both scenes, and you know that will be difficult to have to relive that and reprocess that.
At about 4:45 p.m. yesterday afternoon, 20 pedestrians, including a 4-year-old boy, were deliberately mowed down by a white SUV. 9 of the injured were foreign nationals. 14 people remain in hospital, 3 are in a critical condition. Today, the driver was reportedly identified as 32-year-old Saeed Nouri, an Australian citizen of Afghan descent who had a history of drug abuse and mental illness. Police have confirmed Nouri missed a scheduled mental health appointment yesterday. His motivation is still unknown, but police say he spoke of hearing voices and dreams, while also blaming the mistreatment of Muslims for some of his activities.
Terrorism is politically motivated violence. At this stage, the police are not satisfied that they can describe it as that. Really, we've got to wait for the thorough investigations.
The government may not categorise this as a terrorist attack, but as far as the public are concerned, this was an act of terrorism. The individual concerned was intent on causing maximum harm and terror.
While the second man was also arrested last night, police have now confirmed he was not involved. It was also confirmed a heroic off-duty police officer initially arrested the alleged driver.
It's brave, it's courageous, but that's truly a feature of all of our members who are there. We understand that about 16 of the members at the scene yesterday were actually on their first day on the job. Just imagine that, your first day, being confronted with that sort of carnage.
But just days from Christmas, this latest tragedy has left Melbourne on edge.
This is my city. It's everybody's city. As Australians, we all stand together as one. This should not be happening.
Acting Victoria Police Chief Commissioner Shane Patton joins us now with the latest. Shane, we're hearing that the alleged driver has been taken into custody. When should we expect charges, if any?
The 32-year-old man who's been taken into custody has been released today from hospital. He's in custody of detectives at the moment at our Crime Command building. He has to undergo a forensic examination to assess his suitability for interview, and then he'll be interviewed, and then charges would flow after that.
Over the last hour or so, we've heard varying numbers of the injured. How are they doing at the moment?
Yeah, the numbers have varied, and it's difficult in these very fluid matters to get exact numbers, but we had yesterday 19 people who were taken into hospital. An extra 1 presented today and was discharged. 3 are still critical. 1, an 83-year-old man, very, very much so.
From this distance, it's hard to figure out from what the police are saying what exactly it is that we've seen here. Are you able to clarify this for us now? Do you believe this was a terrorist attack or that this wasn't?
I think it's important, and I've deliberately given context in relation to this matter so that the public can understand what is going on. We're not trying to shy away and say this is not a terrorist attack, but nonetheless, it is too premature to say that is the case. What we do know is that he was suffering mental illness and he's on a mental health plan. He has previously used drugs. He's been taken into custody. He's been treated at hospital and assessed, and he made certain utterances. Some of those utterances are about voices. Some of those utterances are about dreams. Others are about that he did this act because of perceived harms committed on Muslims around the world. So there's a range of issues there. Now, many people jump to the conclusion and say, oh, well, that's a terrorist incident just because he's talked about perceived harm to Muslims. But when you put that and you backstop that against those circumstances of ill health, there's a fair bit to work through. We have mentioned about mental health, and I've done that purposely so the public is informed, but I want to make it clear they shouldn't assume that every person who has mental health issues will progress to violence. These are rare occurrences, but the reason we've stated that on this occasion is to give context so the public understand just what it is we're dealing with and what we're trying to work through.
Acting Chief Commissioner, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Our thoughts, of course, are with all the injured people and their families, but I want to give a special mention to that off-duty police officer, not wearing his uniform, but well and truly still on the job.